Hello everyone. This was a good week of chapters, with every story having some unique decision making. So we're going to start off with Black Clover, chapter 320, and this was a good chapter. A pretty great chapter, seeing Lucifero go all sorts of overpowered and dominating the captains, destroying them all pretty much with ease as they try their hardest to fight against him. Asta also tries to help, but Lucifero, after getting one of his horns cut off by Asta, is completely enraged and beats him to a pulp. The whole chapter shows that, again, none of them are willing to quit, but none of them are even remotely on his level. Again, Asta's even completely damaged, so all of the captains try their best to save him. However, Lucifero is just too dominant, beating them all and beating them pretty much to death. None of them die, not yet anyway, but their means of actually fighting is gone as he destroys the spell that Rill used to allow them to stand up to Lucifero's gravity. All seems lost, but of course Yuno and Mimosa are able to arrive to save Asta. Now, will this last very long? No. They're clearly outclassed, outmatched, and maybe they get Asta away, but a lot of them aren't making it out of this arc alive. I'll be curious to see if Tabata decides to actually kill characters this time, or if he leaves it up to chance, like that they somehow survive, whatever, because there's just no way that they're winning at all. Lucifero is not even hardly trying, and Asta's out of commission. There's no way he can heal. Even with Mimosa's incredible healing ability, there's no way she can heal everyone. And if anything, Lucifero would take her out within seconds. So the next few fights, this next few chapters, are pretty much them desperately trying to survive. I imagine they'll leave and run away because there's nothing they can do. Even Yuno will probably try fight with all he can with Bell, but then immediately get destroyed by Lucifero. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter an A. Seeing the overwhelming and overpowering might of Lucifero was actually very cool, and seeing the captains try their hardest but ultimately fail was, again, very entertaining, especially because in Black Clover, unlike My Hero, the heroes actually have been more dominant than the villains throughout the entirety of the series so far. So seeing a villain absolutely body everyone, Marioliana, Fuegoleon, Nezel, all of them, they just got wrecked. They had no chance at all. So that was at least a unique way of seeing that, and seeing that Lucifero is someone that no one's going to be able to handle. Now we're on to Undead Unluck, chapter 95, and this was a good follow-up chapter to last week. However, it wasn't quite as, well, it was good, and a good follow-up, as I said. It was good, showing how desperate everyone is to save Fuko. Because we find out who the villain is. He's Unruin, and he refuses to lose his dream, whatever that is. And he was able to stand toe-to-toe with Andy, using whatever shadow power he has, as well as being able to live. I wonder how far his ability really can go. Maybe it is like one of the more overpowered ones that he can't unruin his dream, or they can't ruin his dream because he's unruined. I'm not sure. But he was powerful, holding them all at bay, and Fuko was dying. There was nothing they can do to save her until Juiz decides to pull out whatever last minute overpowered, unbelievable ability she had remaining by calling upon the moon to allow Fuko and Andy to jump a week ahead, because theoretically, if the new world were to be put into place before Fuko died, she might have a odd snowball's chance to survive, because the new world would heal everyone, in a manner of speaking, if they had it that all of the changes happened at the proper time. So apparently Luna, I believe it was, or the moon itself, was able to jump Andy and Fuko a week ahead to accept the mission and get their rewards, thus changing the world. It seems as though Juiz now can't loop again, so I wonder how that's going to go for future things once again, leading me to believe that Fuko will be the one to go into the next loop whenever that eventually probably happens. They jump ahead and it looks like they will probably be able to save Fuko, but I'm curious at all of this little lore stuff that's going on and whoever Unruin is, as well as to see what the next mission is, and if they even do the next mission, which it seems as though they have a year to do. So it is interesting, to say the least, that things are going the way they were, having it that the new villain is bizarre and has this weird sense of his own version of justice, I guess. Not really justice, but what he believes. And the fact that they use some sort of extremely powerful time skip ability to save Fuko. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter a B. It was good, having it that they find some in-canonal way to save Fuko by breaking the rules, as they constantly do. I wonder how the moon will continue to play into effect, as well as how things will continue to go from here with whatever arc is coming next, as well as their rewards and how that'll help them in the future. Now we're on to Mashle, Magic and Muscles, chapter 93, and this was a good chapter, having the continued battle between Mash and Demina, showing that Demina is actually very powerful with his water magic, as well as seeing that Mash just clearly doesn't care and will battle anyone in any way, shape, and form, and will most likely win this whole confrontation, despite Demina being arguably stronger than Mash. We also find out that Demina plans on getting the Wand of the Beginning for Innocent Zero, and with that wand, Innocent Zero will be able to destroy the world and recreate it in what he imagines is right in his image. So Demina plans on doing that and is very much proud of his role in that plan, where everyone else sees him as a lunatic and plans on stopping him. Demina keeps egging on Mash to a degree, planning on killing everyone he cares about and forcing Mash to fight against Abyss for a while because of the dark mark in his eye, I guess, whatever it was, and then eventually taking out Abyss because he was pissed that Mash couldn't die by Abyss's hands. Like, Abyss changed the script, which pissed off Demina. So Demina is a bit crazy, and the battle itself will be very interesting to see how many of Mash's friends he has to go through to finally get to Demina, because Demina will keep on brainwashing them or controlling them or something of that nature. So for now, the fight is going pretty good, especially as Mash, of course, is able to pull off Mash things and was able to skip a rock up a water wall and attack Demina somehow, so that you can only imagine how this fight will go from here. So overall, I'm going to give this chapter a B. It was good, it was entertaining, it had Mash having to overcome several different obstacles, and Abyss showing his loyalty to Mash. Even Mash showing his loyalty to his friends was a nice touch, and I imagine Demina is only going to get more and more vindictive from here. I don't expect this fight to be ended anytime soon, not really, and I'm also curious to see if Mash pulls off what he said, which is to actually kill Demina. I imagine he would, though I'm not 100% sure on that. We'll have to wait and see if that comes to fruition. But for now, this fight should be very entertaining. So now we're on to Sakamoto Days, chapter 55, and this was a good chapter, showing that Sakamoto is recovering in the hospital after his fight with Slur when Heio and Nagumo arrive to try to get some information on Slur. Sakamoto and them eventually make a deal, and, well, not really a deal. Sakamoto wants as much information as he can on what the JAA have on Slur so that he can protect his family, as Slur knows about Sakamoto's family, so he needs to protect them. Heio seems pissed, and then eventually they somewhat scuffle, and Heio gives up how Sakamoto can get that information. Sakamoto then leaves to go get that information, and we see that Nagumo is actually affected by who Slur really is, and that they all trained together, but he wasn't remarkable, but yet that seemingly shook him, so it's very curious to see how or what the truth behind Slur really is. And it'll be very interesting to see how Sakamoto deals with the entirety of the situation. For now, it looks like Sakamoto's still going to just deal with it on his own, though I'm curious to see how many of his new allies keep growing to help him, as well as how much he is going to grow to help his family as a whole, even Shin and Lu and maybe a part and Hyosuke. It'll be very interesting to see what he does to actually help them or even save them or whatever, if he's able to power up enough to save everyone and stop Slur from whatever diabolical plans he has up in the air for. So overall, I think I'll give that chapter a B. It was good. It was a nice follow-up, a lot calmer than I expected, but not bad by any means. It has to continue to try to re-ramp up what was going on in the last few chapters, because now Slur has arrived, but now he'll go back into the background as Sakamoto and co have to live on edge with the fact that they're under threat by a man who can kind of take down Sakamoto, the strongest guy we've seen in the series thus far. So that was all of the main chapters that I cover. They were all very good, with most of them having some very unique decision making and quick thinking by the heroes and saves by them as well. Mostly from the captains saving Asta and Juiz and Andy saving Fuko. Those were the big saves, and then just quick decisions by everyone in every chapter, from Mash and Sakamoto and the captains and Juiz, all finding ways to make quick decisions, and even unique decision making by the storytellers to go in their respective directions, and we'll see how it goes from there. It's very interesting, to say the least, with how all of these are going so far. I wonder how they will continue to go and where the next crossroads might be. Now for some of the other chapters, we had Jujutsu Kaisen, which was fine. The battle seemingly ended with our second main character getting the win. Dr. Stone continued its arc and having it that they finally touched down on the moon. So the last phases of the entire series are at work, where our crew is going to make it to whatever base is on the moon to stop the Y-Man. So I'm curious to see what the revelations are there, as this probably still has quite the amount of chapters remaining before it ends. We then had Elusive Samurai, which a new villain seemingly arrived to cause quite the conundrum for our main hero, and the fact that the main hero has another relative that survived, though he's a bit more honest than anyone can really handle, especially when dealing with a new enemy that can extract secrets from even the hardest of people. So they have to try to keep a very important secret away from some very dangerous people. Sakura family was good. It was fine. Blue Box was fine. P times 6 was good, as we are getting a training arc, in a manner of speaking, for Lucky, and the female main character are seemingly going to get trained to help elevate them to the level that they can actually take on the rest of Lucky's family and win. So that's fun. That should be a good section of chapters, so that then when Lucky inevitably somehow provides whatever dream that his sister desires, it'll be very nice. Then we had Ashimon with the main character believing so fully in shonen story tropes that he nearly gets himself killed before we get to see the true form of the female main character. And it looks like we're getting our little crew of people quite a bit bigger than they were before, and I'm curious to see what the final quote-unquote true crew of this mob family that they will be. I'm curious to see how many members they get, because so far they will have about 4 once the main female character saves the border guards woman. Then we have Doron, and it was another good chapter. It's a cute series, though it feels like it's moving a little too fast, and that it's probably ending by maybe chapter 14. The writing looks like it's on the wall, which is very sad, as I thought this one had a lot of potential. So that's all the chapters. They were all good. They were all very entertaining, and a lot of them had some unique storytelling bits to it. I'm curious to see if any new series pop up soon, because it's actually been a little bit of time, but I imagine that Doron looks like it might be close to ending. You never know with P times 6. That one could be axed at any moment. Blue Box seems like it's over the hill enough that it could be okay. Same with Elusive Samurai, and I think they might be waiting for Dr. Stone just to finish, though that might be by the end of the year. Maybe even into early next year, but that's just a guess. So I'm curious to see where Shonen Jump decides to take all these series, as well as how many of them survive for much longer. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and as always, thank you for watching.